Hello, everyone. My name is Rina Bindi. This is Point Taken with Rina Bindi. You can find us on Anchor FM, Spotify, and YouTube. Today, we have an incredibly special guest, Dr. Jay Komarek with Mancos Chiropractic. He is a second-generation chiropractor specializing in animal chiropractic care. He currently lives in Colorado and has adjusted equines all around the nation. He's built a legacy chiropractic care business, healing animals, including performance horses. Recently, a movie was released with Dr. J called Life Adjusted, which is available on Amazon Prime. Dr. J, I have been incredibly excited about interviewing you today, especially since a friend of mine, Dr. Paige Mott, had told me about you. Thanks so much for taking some time and meeting with me.
You bet. Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Here's my little fur baby Zugo. He wanted to say
Hi,
hello real
Zuko.
quick. Hi, you want to say hello to
Buddy?
everybody? So I'm newer in animal chiropractic care, and when I heard that you were adjusting horses, like performance horses, people who have horses as pets, I was quite fascinated. So can you tell me exactly how you got started in this, like how this became a passion?
My family, there's 13 chiropractors in my family, and my dad and his two brothers were chiropractors. All three of them have passed. But this was way back in the 50s and 60s. And as a kid, I grew up in Texas at an early age, and I would go to the rodeo, and I got kind of hooked on horses separate from chiropractic. And then I was maybe eight or nine, and I saw a horse get adjusted. And I knew my dad was a chiropractor. I had received chiropractic care, and I knew that my dad took care of dogs and cats. And so I saw a horse getting adjusted, and I was asking my dad, "You can adjust a horse?" And he said, "Well, you can adjust anything that's got a nervous system, anything that's got a brain and spinal cord that's encased in structure. You can clear that." And so anyway, I was very young when I decided, oh, this is what I was going to do. And so sure enough, as I grew into chiropractic, I went to chiropractic college in Portland, Oregon, at Western States Chiropractic College. And when I got out, one of my very first clients were two people. One was a veterinarian who needed a horse adjusted and asked me. She was my patient. She had migraine headaches, and I took care of her. Then she asked me if I would adjust a horse. And then I had another woman who her husband had a big car dealership, and they had race horses, and I went and adjusted one of the race horses. And all you need is to have one horse win a race, and you're literally off to the races in this business. So I worked at animal hospitals early in my career, and wound up doing dogs and birds and cats and horses, lots and lots of horses. So this is my starting next year, my 44th year.
Did you say you adjusted a bird?
The veterinarian that I work for had her specialty in birds, and people who have birds in their houses, some are in cages and some are free to roam around, will fly into a wall and smack their head, and they also get nervous disorders. Birds will get all kinds of nervous tics, and so there are these little minor things we do with with their nervous system to clear them out.
Wow, that's fascinating to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And I noticed you've used the word clear as well. It for me, it has more of a spiritual uh, feel to it than just saying that I adjusted
Well,
versus
adjusted
cleared.
has a biomechanical sense.
Mm-hmm.
We have this, people have an idea that we're moving bones. And in fact, we do that. But the reason we're doing it is to clear the central nervous system that most animals, or a good many animals that have been traumatized, and good many people are in a state of trauma. And their nervous system, in neurology, we refer to it as being upregulated or downregulated.
Hmm.
It's designed to fluctuate. It should go up, it should go down, but you just don't want it stuck in the up state. Horses that have been traumatized, people have trauma, their nervous system will start cascading in a certain way, chemically, neurologically, and then the biomechanics change in response to that. So our job is to restore the central nervous system back to equilibrium so that it's able to be in the present moment. It's
Hmm.
not stuck in the past. It's in the present moment, reading the environment and making the appropriate changes chemically, mentally, emotionally, physically to whatever is needed. But with trauma, a nervous system can get patterned, and especially repetitive trauma. And then that person, that horse, that dog is stuck in a pattern. And so when we say we're clearing it, if you've ever had an Etch-a-Sketch as a little kid, that little toy with all the lines and wiggle, and you shake it
Absolutely.
and you clear that, we're clearing the underlying neural patterns. And when that happens, the biomechanics tend to get freer. We have free movement in the body.
That's amazing. I've never heard having an adjustment or cleared being described as this before. That makes perfect sense to me. I live a chiropractic lifestyle. My husband and I do, and now Zugo does as well. That makes perfect sense. For me, being a two-legged creature, like I had a sciatica issue, and it's because I wasn't stretching, I wasn't taking proper care of myself. So when I was running, um, I got a shearing pain from my buttocks all the way down to my foot and just crumpled to the ground and had no idea what was going on. It was the most intense pain I had ever experienced. And eventually, one of my girlfriends brought up that I needed to go to a chiropractor. And after he started adjusting me and I did the stretching that he had recommended as well, I've been sold. And that was in 2008, 2009, right around there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's as far as health maintenance, your nervous system, your brain and spinal cord is running the show. It's reading the environment. And then it's deciding internally what appropriate changes need to be made chemically, mentally, emotionally, biomechanically. And when you're free, neurologically free and biomechanically free, you tend to do that better. And when you're not free and when you're stuck, it's inefficient. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the body, chemically, metabolically, biomechanically, which leads to exhaustion. Most diseases that you know of, if you could name one, are preceded by levels of exhaustion. Their central nervous system has been jacked. It's not a technical term, but we just say the person is jacked, the horse is jacked, it got traumatized, the nervous system upregulated, it stayed in this fight or flight response, the chemistry started going haywire, and eventually the person becomes exhausted. It's unsustainable. You could run away from a lion for a minute, but you couldn't do it for days. And a lot of people live that way, right? So
Yes.
our job is to help them bring their nervous system in the present time by clearing the system and having it being able to fluctuate up, fluctuate down. We just don't want it stuck, and we don't want it biomechanically stuck either. So when the doctor gave you the stretches, he wanted to restore movement. And a lot of time, like with yoga or Pilates, just restoring motion is enough to help the nervous system come back into balance.
That's for me, that's absolutely true as well.
Yeah.
I know that as long as I'm in motion, as long as I'm moving, I do not have any other flare-ups or any other issues. My husband experienced the same issue or similar issue before he was a general contractor. He was doing all of the work and he started getting the sciatic issue. So I had him go to a chiropractor and get Ralphing done and do yoga. And it cleared him up as well. And he stays moving. He's the guy who you'll find in the Pilates class on occasion, doing
Yeah.
his best to keep up with all the ladies. But
Uh-huh.
he learned his lesson as well. And I mean, for us as humans, it's fascinating to me how we need to get talked into it or convinced or something, but with the animals, I saw your approach with the animals, and how with when I saw Life Adjusted specifically with Dizzy, how you were able to communicate, and after you were able to gain Dizzy's trust, you were able to start doing adjusting this horse, and everything about the horse changed. And it was more of like a um, you had to gain the animal's trust, but with humans, it's like you have to mentally convince them that this is what they should be doing. But with a horse, once they see what's happening and they feel the release and they feel the clearing, it's like they'll come running up to you for their adjustments,
It's
for
much
the
quicker.
clearings.
It's much quicker. They don't, I think you and I mentioned this the other day, that they're not running a narrative in their head. The horse or the dog, the bird, they're in present time. So we say they have present time consciousness. They're here, they're now, and they're reading that energy, and they can sense your intent. So it's not like I'm talking to them about neurology or orthopedics. It's my intent is I'm going to help you. And there are things that are required, like with Dizzy, there were certain things in addition to my presence was clearing her neck immediately to force the nervous system to reboot. And so there are things that, as good as the intent was, and all of the people who were associated with Dizzy were very well-intentioned people, but couldn't get near her. There were one or two people who were able to approach her, but that took years for them to do that. And so the thing that we did, where she's rearing and fussing, and we put force into the base of her neck, forced her brain to do something. And that's a complicated subject, but it basically forces the brain to reset. And it gave me the opportunity, gave me a window to get in there and show her, we're okay, let's proceed. And she then let me in.
Wow.
Yeah.
For anyone who's listening or watching, when you do go to watch Life Adjusted, have a box of Kleenex, like right there.
Yeah.
If you're an empath at all, like I am, it was like, oh my gosh, it's so sweet, and just the power. Like I can feel your vibrational energy. I can even when I talk with you, it's like getting a warm hug. There's a warmth in your voice and your tone and the way that you speak, and I can tell that you genuinely care, which I am a receiver of your energy, so thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, and that's my intent. It's business is great. It's nice to have a nice life as a result of, but what's better is doing work that you love and that you're passionate about, and then sharing that with people. So in addition to taking care of, I teach a lot of programs worldwide. So chiropractic, it's really my intent way back in the late 70s was that a way to expand people's understanding of chiropractic. That story was better told through animal care than it was through people care. That when somebody watches an animal adjusted, it's not like the animal understands placebo. The animal either gets better or it doesn't get better. And so when you have an animal who's sick, gets adjusted, and within a day or two recovers of chemical issues many times too, that we're able to monitor that. We're able to run chemistries and do things to find out that they in fact get better. People have a hard time countering that. It's just that, they watched something. It's hard to get their mind around that. So it's when they watch an animal, it's a very pure experience. And my intent in the late 70s was, well, if we get this rocking and rolling in animal care, and now it's worldwide, and we have a good many, I forget how many thousands of women chiropractors. I think the primary, I don't know the stats, but I know that the bulk of animal chiropractors are women, which is
Wow.
it's really, really good. And so it's now nationwide and worldwide. They have schools, and that was my initial intent, was that it was not only to serve the animal, but our profession was in need of people understanding that we're not drugging anybody. and we're not cutting anybody. We're using our hands to release an intelligence that's in you. It was God given, it's spirit given, it's in you. You're not telling your heart what to do, or your liver, or your kidneys, or your ovaries. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do because of the intelligence inherent within you. And that can be interfered with. That intelligence, due to tensions on the spinal cord and structural locks, can be interfered with. And the founder of chiropractic discovered that if we free that, the intelligence that's been given to you can now do its job to maintain health. Now, obviously, it's not the only thing. Your rest and sleep, sleeping and water and diet and exercise and mental attitude, all these things are so significant. But none of it works without a nervous system that's in balance. And that's the bulk of chiropractic. It's a very, very powerful, compelling story that most people don't understand. They just think, oh, it's all about back pain.
It's
It was
more
never,
than
it
that.
wasn't designed for that.
I have a question about specifically about where people can learn to become an animal chiropractor. Like, what kind of a certification is that? What kind of a training is it that people need to have? Or chiropractors?
First you go to chiropractic college or veterinary school. So you're going to spend 6 or 7 years getting a chiropractic degree. You're going to spend 9 years getting a veterinary degree, just because they do surgical procedures. We don't do those. And then after that, then you're going to spend a year and a half going to get an animal certification.
Wow.
Which started with Dr. Sharon Willoughby way back in the late 80s. She was a veterinarian and a chiropractor both, who started what they call Options for Animals, which was the first certification program. And what sprung out of that was the American Veterinary Chiropractic Association, which now governs all of the schools to make sure that they're doing a good job with their education. They're testing these individuals, so that if you get somebody who's got a certification from the American Veterinary Chiropractic Association or the International Veterinary Chiropractic Association, you've got somebody who's been very well trained.
Excellent. That's good to know. One of my friends heard that I was going to be talking with you, who's a chiropractor, and was like, well, are there elective classes? Like, how does someone actually go through and get that? Do they have to go to another college? Or, I mean,
well, there's several schools. So there's one is Options for Animals, which is I believe in Kansas, and then there's Texas Chiropractic College, or I'm sorry, Parker Chiropractic College. There's ACES, which is run by a veterinary, Bill Ormston, and his wife, Dr. Amy Ormston. So ACES, Parker Chiropractic College. The other one is called Oasis, which is run by, which is, I think is up in Wisconsin. So there's 4 or 5 schools.
That's interesting. And thank you for that piece of
Yeah.
information. I'm also curious about, so with the adjustments that you give to clear an equine, I mean, it seems like it takes more force or energy. How do you keep up with your own body? Does that take a toll on you at all?
Well, it does, after years of doing it. But this morning I was lifting weights and I was on my Peloton bike, and I try to keep my body in shape. And I don't do, back in my 30s and 40s, I was doing 25 and 30 horses every day. And I don't do that anymore. I'll go out and do an emergency horse, and I still do a lot of horses, but I don't do it like I used to. But you definitely have some strength, but the bulk of it is knowing the neurology. That I have I have 2 women chiropractors I work with. One is your size. She's tiny, just tiny. She's in San Diego, who gives one of the most amazing adjustments you'd ever watch. And she's maybe 125 pounds. The size is not so much an issue because I'm bigger, I'm 230 pounds. So I'm able to use my mass, but someone your size would use speed. So, there's these laws of physics that we're juxtaposing. And you have force and mass and acceleration, and and based on your size, once you know the mechanics and once you know leverage and you know some physics, there's a lot of ways to accomplish this.
Wow, that's incredible. That makes perfect sense too. When it comes to you taking on an animal, taking on a horse, like, and knowing that they need an adjustment, can you give me some signs to for some of our listeners and viewers to look for that their horse may need an adjustment?
Well, so on one end of it, we do crisis care. So we work with veterinarians who have examined a horse and don't have anything to offer a neurologic horse or a lame horse other than medication, something
Yeah.
for the joints, lubricants, and muscle relaxants and different things. So when they've exhausted those, then they seek us out. So
Mm.
that, but lameness issues, colic issues, and these are things that we work in conjunction with veterinarians with. On the other
Mhm.
end, we have the performance end. That is the rodeo stock, people who running at 35 miles an hour down an arena to turn around a barrel, to run around another barrel and another barrel and then run back. So you have that. We have, horses on the racetrack who are running at 35, 40 miles an hour who are going around a corner. So they're putting all their weight on their left shoulder and their right hind leg. And then we have agility dogs, dogs who are doing agility where they're, running through weave poles and over, over all kinds of obstacles, who, go crashing into, into stuff.
Mhm.
And so, it just, so lameness is a big one. As then we have the geriatric, the older 12, 13, 14-year-old dog who has just has never received an adjustment, whose body, due to either improper diet or injury that never got handled properly, has become really stiff or arthritic. So there's lots of levels of care. There's we do a lot of puppies, and so that, we have a saying, as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. That is, that once an animal is distorted neurologically or orthopedic, it tends in that direction unless you correct it. So we're dealing with young dogs. We're dealing with all types of trauma. Dogs that have, we had a dog this summer who was sitting in the front of a Jeep with the doors off, went around the corner. A guy went around the corner really fast, and the dog went rolling out of the
Oh.
Jeep. And, so trauma, and dogs, cats. With cats, it tends to be more chemically oriented, just people not knowing what good nutrition is, like people feeding foods that have got a lot of, a lot of junk in there that that an animal would never find in nature. So they're eating concentrations of food that are very, very high, that they would never, if they were left alone to their own devices, they would never have that concentration of food. So we're educating around nutrition. We're teaching owners of dogs and horses how to stretch, actually kind of yoga for dogs and horses, just movements that help maintain their freedom. And then we have horses get themselves in a lot of trouble. I mean, a lot of serious injuries that we deal with. Trailer accidents, you name it. They, running and falling down, and anyway. So
They're having fun. They're running around. They're,
yeah,
being agile, and that's whether they're a dog, a horse, or a human. We all do that.
yeah.
I think it would be easier if people just took their horses or animals in for like routine chiropractic care. Couldn't?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense for everybody to have, whether you're sick or not. You don't have to be sick to get chiropractic care. The purpose of it is you're better off clear and free than you are stuck and jacked. And so when you're going now, stuck and jacked usually leads to ill health.
Mm.
So, when you're sick, obviously you're going to go, you exhaust whatever medical means you need to, but you're going to get checked by a chiropractor And the reason you're doing that is because the brain and spinal cord run the show, and you want them free. It's just that's the part that's coordinating the function and the healing. So it's wonderful that you go because you have a headache or you had sciatica, but the bigger benefit is that you're going to have a clear nervous system throughout your life. And as soon as you mentally or emotionally feel muddled or jangled, you go get adjusted. And it's just it's absolutely wonderful, wonderful, amazing philosophy and science. Most people are very unaware of the extent and how far-reaching chiropractic is. They've been fed some story that is really inaccurate.
That's part of the reason I was so excited to have you on today, is for part of this education process. It's a physical healing, an emotional healing, a spiritual healing. For me, it is. Personally, I've experienced all of that. And even with Zugo, my little fur baby, come here, come say hello again. Yeah. Even for this little guy, he's incredibly healthy. We run 3 miles, like a mile and a mile and a mile or more sometimes. And he actually noticed his right in here, the way he was running shifted a little bit a few months back. So when I took him into Dr. Page, she found a subluxation down here. And after she had adjusted him in 2 different spots, the back of his paws, he was prancing. His feet were lifting up from the back even higher. He was bouncing around more. Not to say he wasn't already doing that, but that the movement that I had noticed in the back that was more like a waddle than a little kick up, it completely changed after she did that adjustment. And I was like, dogs need chiropractic care too. Animals need chiropractic care too. So we
Yeah.
are routinely bringing Zugo in now to see Dr. Page. And it's wonderful that she has a Yorkie as well, because
Right.
our little Zugo's only 5 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So her Sophie is like 3.5 or 4 pounds at the most. And she's used to adjusting smaller animals for that purpose. And yeah, it's just a match made in heaven for us,
Yeah.
Dr. J.
So
We're
so
excited.
good. When you think about it, if I took a tiny little rock, little pebble, and I put it in your shoe and I made you walk around with it, how your whole body would distort. Well, when they're misaligned, when they have tension in a joint and that joint is not moving freely, it's affecting the entire biomechanics of the body and the neurology. And lots of times that goes undetected, and then the animal winds up living with that. And then the next thing that happens is the body goes through a compensatory change. It'll start to compensate, and then it'll compensate again. Then it'll compensate again. With humans, we sometimes will take a X-ray of the spine and we'll see that their body compensated 4, 5, 6 times over the course of 20, 30 years. It never went, it never got cleared out, and the body did the next best thing to adapt. And then it went the next best thing. And their symptoms will go, I fell off a motorcycle. I had low back pain. Then the pain shifted to the kidney area. Then I had a kidney problem. Then it shifted to my left shoulder because the body then, now I have a migraine headache. And as we adjust them, they kind of go back, they backtrack through all that distortion, and they unwind. They're like unwinding of sometimes 15, 20. I adjusted a woman the other day, was 89 years old, who had received her first adjustment at 89 just a week ago.
Wow.
And was just, had been living with this neural tension, and then now all of a sudden have that relieved or released. This is pretty amazing. And for a
Wow.
horse, for Dizzy, imagine living like that. That horse is now like just doing so wonderful.
Oh, that's great. Have you seen Dizzy recently?
Yeah, I saw Dizzy, I guess about 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Awesome.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that, it's a wonderful, but there's many stories like that. Many, many stories that way. That was just one of them, just of it's there's an incredible cruelty to animals. I mean, there's so many people who are lovers of animals doing such an amazing, wonderful job taking care of all these critters. And then, we see the other end of it too, where there's amazing cruelty. And so we wind up taking care of a lot of traumatized animals.
A lot of people don't realize that they have personalities and spirits and energies in them as well. And I mean, they they could talk, the stories that they would tell.
Oh, yeah. There's a wonderful there's a wonderful book by a guy. He's actually a physicist, and
Mhm.
his name is Rupert Sheldrake. And Rupert wrote a book about when animals know their owners are coming home. And what he did was he accumulated these anecdotal stories of somebody being in India for 3 months working, and then all of a sudden coming home, but without the cat or dog knowing. And the cat or dog, a day or two prior, the caretaker said that dog was going crazy. And he's got all these amazing stories. This is a wonderful book. So when animals know their owners are coming home, by Rupert Sheldrake, it just tells you that they're the extensions of their knowing, and their spirit and their energy are very far-reaching. That they have sensing that is very, very acute. And and they have a way of communicating to me when I'm working on a horse. That it's very.
Speaking of that level of communication, does that also help you with your approach and how you've learned to approach a horse? I mean, it's magnificent watching you.
Yeah, I think I was gifted that. It was a gift to me because I had it at a very early age. And my father he used to take my hands. He would take my hands. He said, you have gold in your hands. You don't know it, but you have gold in your hands. Don't ever forget that. And as I got older and I realized, oh, this comes really naturally to me. And I
Mhm.
realized it was intuitive, and there was part of me that was beyond my intellect. And I'm quite a student. I study a lot. I love to read. I'm an educator. I love education, but I realize that when you're working on a horse or a dog, the education has got to go out the window, and you're working energetically, which is a language unto itself. And after 44 years, I can tell you that's like essential with horses. And you can do things biomechanically and really benefit a horse or a dog it's strictly a biomechanical process. But when you have the biomechanics down and you have the energetics, the essence of spirit or love or connection, however you want to describe that, that makes a very, very powerful combination as far as helping an animal. So, and animals can sense that. I
Are
have,
you able to teach or to show people how you communicate with horses? Do you mentor people currently that
yeah,
can
we have my
so
partner.
cute?
I have two business partners that we work together. Dr. Petra Solwald, she works at Mancos Chiropractic, and her husband, Clayton Solwald. And we've been teaching together for 18, I guess 17 years. So just last month we had chiropractors, even with COVID, came from all over the country. And I think we had 14, and I
Wow.
think 11 of them were women. And veterinarians, chiropractors who are certified, but who want to now learn this other level of care. And so it's advanced training for people. You've got to already have your vet or chiropractic degree. You've already got to be certified. Then you're coming to us to learn like what I spent 44 years learning. And I want to share that with people. It makes such a difference in the speed of recovery. And we have a protocol that we teach of how to do it where you're comprehensive in your thinking and your approach, where you're not going to miss anything, working with veterinarians so that you collaborate. It's important that they learn to collaborate with the vet and the community, veterinary community. And so we do a lot of teaching all over the world. It's
Can other chiropractors or vets attend this class by finding you at Mancos
Yeah,
Chiropractic?
on Mancos at mancoschiropractic.com is our not only our schedule to schedule with us a dog or a person, cat, but also what our classes are coming up next year. And then we have online programs that starts in January. We have online. If you need continuing ed, they can do their continuing education online. but a lot of them come here to Mancos, and we have a wonderful community with a great little couple motels and couple little great restaurants, and we have a big center. It's called Medicine Horse, who donate. They let us and allow us to work on these 14 horses that they have, or that are older, geriatric. So the horses get care. They're great demonstrators of distortion, and then have a great facility. So we teach there, and we teach at our office.
Are you going to teach any doggy yoga classes? You're talking about doggy yoga earlier, and I was like, where can I take my doggy to doggy yoga and stretching?
If you send me your address, I will send you Dr. Petra's. We have a CD on doggy yoga.
Oh my gosh.
It's called Stretch the Dog, Stretch That Dog. And I'll show you how to do it.
I would love to start doing that with Zugo. I already give him doggy massages. He comes up on my chest when I'm kind of laying back or reclined, and I massage the muscles, the upper part, his chest. I'll scratch his back and push down and get all the little massages in for him. He absolutely my husband loves it too. But Zugo absolutely loves it.
Distribute that love evenly between the dog and your husband. The husband will be slighted.
Oh gosh, between Zugo, my husband, and myself, Zugo loves us both equally at different times. When it's dinner time, he loves my husband more.
Well,
because my husband's the one who's like, oh, you want eggs? Oh, you want a little piece of steak? And I'm just like, don't do it. And he's like, Mom's not looking.
Oh, I like your husband.
Yeah, so does Zugo when it comes to food, especially in playtime.
All right.
Oh,
right.
Man. Yeah. Our little fur baby. Do you have any other pets? Do you have any other
I have a cat who's around here somewhere named Winston.
Winston.
And he's around, and we have another cat who's out and about named Ginger, but she's been on a walkabout for the last 2 days, so I haven't seen her. She stays outside, Winston stays inside, and I don't know where he is.
Oh, okay, go get it.
He's a Mancoon.
Oh, he's a big fluffy kitty. Hi, sweetie. Hi.
I disturbed him. He was by the fire sleeping.
Oh my gosh. What a big fluffy cat. How much does that cat weigh? Like 15 pounds?
He's up there. He's probably 20, 25 pounds. Yeah,
Wow.
I was working on a ranch back in March in California, and I've been going there for years, and I do 10, 12 horses, 10, 12 dogs, all of the personnel, and I was going to end the day, collect my check, and say goodbye to the owner of the ranch, a beautiful facility in Gilroy, California. And I walked into the garage, and he is up on a washer dryer, beautiful facility. Everything's spanky clean. And I said, "Who's that?" She goes, "Oh, his name is Fred." And I said, "Fred?" I said, "How long have you had him?" She goes, "Oh, 6, 7 years." I said, "I've been here forever. I've never seen that cat." She goes, "Do you want him?" And out of my mouth said yes. So I was like, what the hell am I doing? I travel, I do a lot of traveling. I'm in Oregon, I travel a lot. And so anyway, I flew back a few weeks later, and I rented a car, and I brought Fred home. But my daughter, I have 2 daughters. I have a son who's a chiropractor in Napa, and I have a daughter in Lafayette who's a school teacher, and my other daughter who's in school, Sophia, said, "Dad, he's not a Fred. He's a Winston." So his name got changed.
Definitely.
And he's wonderful. And we have a routine that we do in the morning. He sits, light the fire, we have our coffee, and then I head over to the office. So he's on his own part of the day. But he's wonderful.
He seems wonderful. It's nice that you two have your morning routine. I'm sure he keeps you even healthier on the inside as well.
Cats have a wonderful, amazing, different energy than dogs and horses. And when you're taking care of them, that's a whole different ballgame.
I think cats train us what they want and need in their lives. We are their servants, is
That's
what I've
right.
learned about
Yeah,
cats.
yeah. They're very, very, you have to have a healthy respect for their intelligence. They almost demand it, that you
Yep.
have to, that you understand that it's a super intelligent animal. And if you approach them with, I totally get you, I know you're smart, then they'll let you do anything when I'm working on cats. Um, but that of all the, I've worked on really nasty horses. I mean, really what we call a rank horse
Mm,
who wants to hurt you. But a cat who wants to hurt you is the most dangerous of all. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway,
get the claws out with that one. So you
yeah,
mentioned you mentioned Napa and your son, who's a third generation
yes,
chiropractor,
yes.
correct? And he has a practice out there as well.
He is a chiropractor for both animals and people, and right downtown with his wife, Rhea, Rhea. Rhea and him are both chiropractors. They have a family practice in Napa. Then he travels doing horses, so he's all over doing horses as well. So yeah, we stayed pretty busy.
Man, I bet you passed your golden hands down to him.
Oh, you know what a great gift is when the student surpasses the teacher. He
Mhm.
asked me last year, he said, Pop, come on, I've got to go do some, I was visiting. I was doing horses in Oregon and I went down to visit. And he said, come on, I've got to go do some horses, come with me. And I had watched him, but I realized that he had made a jump in his dance that he does with horses. And it was, I'm a proud dad because he's a chiropractor, but in order to do a horse, it requires quite a skill set. And he arrived there. Now had followed me as a kid, when he was younger. He was with me all the time, and it went in. And then I got to watch him. Just was so incredibly proud, and I realized he was doing a great service to the horses.
I
So
have
anyway, very
goosebumps all
gifted.
over. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely beautiful. So does he travel similar to the way you did, which
yeah,
is like
yes, yeah. You go and it's the business part of it. It's hard to drive 1 hour and do one horse, and then drive an hour and do one horse. So we'll do a barn that's got 8 or 10 horses. Then we'll go to the next barn, 8 or 10 horses, and then that barn will then have 5 or 6 people who need to get adjusted, or 2 or 3 dogs. So our office is really these barns that we've set up where collectively we're doing it find on a financial, it's easier for us to be in one place, and we let them know, so we're coming, please let the community know. And then they
mm,
trailer in horses from all over so that we're not driving, spending time in the car.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Is incredibly smart. I'm really glad you're able to set it up in such an efficient way. That makes perfect sense to
yeah,
me
yeah,
as a
yeah,
business
yeah,
owner.
yeah. Efficiencies. Anyway, it's a wonderful career. I mean, you get to set your own hours. It's the downside is that you're so busy that you're working a lot. And so you're learning how to compartmentalize and set boundaries as to, you know just taking time to rest. You go and take care of a 12, 13 horses, you need a day to to unwind and let your body heal up a little bit.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
Could absolutely imagine. I'm crazy excited that we had some time to talk today.
No.
I'm curious. So, do you have any favorite books that you'd recommend for
um
people to read?
well, yeah, yes, I've got a ton of them. I would start with The Horse Whisperer. If you
Mm,
haven't read The Horse Whisperer, that book, that's by oh, his name will come to me, but The Horse Whisperer is a wonderful book. And um no, geez, I'll have to send you a list to kind of jog my memory right now. But there's a bunch of wonderful, wonderful books out there. But all the horse books, people who, if you can watch anything by Buck Brannaman, his movie, there's a movie called Buck. It's a documentary about Buck, and
mhm.
and his videos are very, again, this is the horse world. Um, um, and let's see, Suzanne. I'm trying to remember her last name, who wrote a book on German Shepherds, but it's about dogs, and her name is, and I believe it's Suzanne Chandler. And but there's, oh geez, there's so many. But I would start with Buck Brannaman. I would read The Horse Whisperers by Monty Roberts, and you get a sense of what I think is most important about connection. And Buck Brannaman is about connection. That long before you're doing anything in a physical sense, you've got to establish rapport or connection, and that's the glue that makes all this work.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to watch the movie and look at the Horse Whisperer and read that one as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, I'm not going to be adjusting animals ever.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the education aspect and learning more, because I help a lot of animal chiropractors with their digital marketing. So I want to be able to I want to be sure that I can speak their language and understand what it is that what they do, and know more of the language and verbiage, and how I can better identify with them and help them get their message out about animal chiropractic care
that's
as a
wonderful.
whole. Yeah. I've got
I've enjoyed this.
Oh, Jay, I've been beyond excited, like I've said, to talk with you today. I've barely slept, went to bed late last night. I was like, yes, I get to talk with Jay. I'm so excited.
Thank you. That's very kind. I was looking forward to it. I was, and I told you the other day it'll be organic, which it was. It would be effortless.
It always is, especially with someone as kind-hearted and magnificent as you are, with your energy and your thoughts and what you've done for our animal nation and human nation as a whole. I mean, you've built a legacy animal chiropractic care business and human care. People come from all around the world to study and train with you. I feel very humbled and grateful that you made some time to just talk with me.
Thank you.
For a while.
If I could leave you and your viewers, it's, decide you're going to serve. Serve first, that you're going to serve out of the goodness and the abundance of your own heart. Everything else falls in place after that. Just be of service to someone. And once you have that down, everything works.
Excellent. Well, this is Point Taken with Rina Bindi. You can find us on Anchor FM, Spotify, YouTube. And once again, we were talking with Dr. Jay Komarek with Mancos Chiropractic. We will have his website and a few other of his Instagram, LinkedIn for you guys to click on very easily if you're on YouTube. Otherwise, you can find him at mancoschiropractic.com. And thank you for tuning in to Point Taken with Rina Bindi.